Function notation, this is the start of chapter 2. And we're talking about relations in the first definition as a set of ordered pairs. And we always know ordered pairs are x and then y. And the x always talks about the domain, and the y always talks about the range. And when we talk about a function is when a special relation in which each member of the domain is paired with one and only one member of the range. So they're saying that the x's are only matched up with one y, one and only one y. So the y's do not repeat, okay? And we used to do a vertical line test, and if, here I'll do a little one. If we were seeing if this picture was a function, this graph, you would do a vertical line test, and if it touched, in one spot, hold on, right, we'll go down, right there, it's only touching once, so then this would be a function. Okay, if we had a picture that looked like this, and we drew a vertical line, it touches in two spots, here and here, so that would not be a function. Okay, so when we talk function notation, functions are named by lowercase letters, so we use like f, g, or h, and we name a function f then. So if you notice, we always see f of x. It's read as f of x, that's all they're saying. Or g of x would be g with the x in the brackets. Okay, that's function notation. So we have this example here. It says f of x is equal to x squared, and x is equal to 5. So then you want to find out what f of 5 is, right? So you take the equation that goes with f of x, which is x squared, and you plug the 5 in. So 5 squared is equal to 25. Okay, we'll move down. So then we have, we substitute 5 for x, and the ordered pair is 5 and 25. Because x was 5, and when we plugged into f of x, we got 25. Okay, so that's all this part we're saying here. So now we have example, and f of x is equal to 6x minus x squared, and we want to find what f of minus 3 is. So all we're doing is taking minus 3 and putting it in where we see our x's. So we have 6 in our equation, so f of minus 3. And we have 6 in our equation, and instead of x, we're putting minus 3 in. Subtract, instead of x squared, we're putting minus 3 squared in. So 6 times a minus 3 is a minus 18. And then you have subtract, and minus 3 squared is 9. So now we have a minus 18, subtract a 9, and we have minus 27. Okay, this stuff is fairly straightforward and simple. Okay, so now this one's a little different because it's saying f of a is equal to 8. So they're saying if f of a equals 6a minus a squared, we're basically solving to find what the a is, because a is not equal to 8, f of a is. So we take 8 and we put it where the f of a is, and then we solve for the equation. So we probably want to get everything on one side, so it's all together. So I'm just going to add this a squared over, and I'm going to subtract the 6a over also. So now I'll have a squared minus 6a plus 8 equals 0. Okay, and this is a trinomial, so we can factor it so we can see what multiplies to 8 and adds to minus 6. 4 and 2, so a minus 4 and a minus 2. And so our a's are actually equal to 4 and 2. I think we can leave them, unless it specifies. Okay, let's move on. So now we're going to use that same equation. So let me just put it to the top of the page here. So that equation, again, was f of a is equal to 6a minus 8. Okay, so what we're saying is, we're saying that the a actually equals x plus 3. So every time we see an x plus 3, we're going to put, or sorry, every time we see an a, we're going to put an x plus 3 in it. Okay, so we'll write our equation, which is 6, and then instead of a, we're putting x plus 3 in. Subtract, and instead of a, we're putting x plus 3 squared. Okay, so then we can distribute the 6 into the brackets, and this guy is going to be a FOIL situation. So we have 6x, and 6 times 3 is 18, and we have subtract x plus 3 and x plus 3. So we're still going to need to FOIL that. So first with first, first with second, second with first, second with second. And we still have the 6x plus 18, and we have subtract. We're going to keep it in brackets because this minus in front is going to go to everybody after it's done foiling. So we don't want to forget about it. So x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so at this point, we can combine these guys in the middle, and we can multiply in with our negative. Okay, so the negative is going to make that a negative x squared, and 3x plus 3x is 6x, but with the negative it's going to be minus 6x, and a minus in front of the 9. Okay, so now we have a positive 6x and a negative 6x, so we can just cross those off because they equal 0x. And we can combine our 18 and our minus 9. So we have, I'll move up this way, negative x squared and a plus 9, because 18 minus 9 is positive 9. And if we rewrote this so that the 9 was in front because it's positive and the minus x squared was behind, then that looks like the difference of squares, right? Because they're both perfect squares, they have a subtraction in between, so we can break it down as 3 minus x and 3 plus x, meaning our x's are going to be positive and minus 3. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to use the same equation again that we started with at the top, this one here, and we want to find when f is, we're replacing our first equation, we're going to replace it with x plus h's every time we see an a, and then we're going to replace it with x's all over h. Okay, so what we're going to do is to start off, and we have when f in brackets is x plus h, all you're doing is taking every time you see the a and you're putting in x plus h instead. So this is what we have done here already. So 6, and then instead of a, you're putting x plus h, subtract, and then instead of a squared, it's x plus h squared. Okay, and then when we have f of x, all we did was change our a's to x values in this part. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to take this first equation, which is this one, and we're going to subtract it from the second one, all divided by h. So we have our equation with 6, and instead of our a's, we have replace them with x plus h's. Okay, so from my original equation up here, All I did right now was replace my a's with x plus h's. Okay, and then that is this first piece of the equation. The second piece is going to be when we subtract the original equation, but instead of a's, we're just using x's instead. So our equation would be 6x minus x squared. And this is all over h. Okay, so we're going to have to FOIL and do some substantial work here, so I probably shouldn't have wrote so big. I'm going to rewrite it a little bit smaller. And then we are going to just work through the brackets. So this is all over h. Okay, so that means I'm going to distribute in to that first piece. Oh, and I forgot the squared here, right? And a minus right there, right? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to distribute in, so it would be 6x, and 6 times h is 6h, and I have subtracted by x plus h is going to be FOILed. So just to save some work, I'll show you the process of the foiling along the side here, just so that we don't clutter up all our space where we're working. So x times x is x squared, x times h is just hx, and h times x is just hx also. So that means we have two hx's, and then we multiply the h and the h together to get h squared. So that piece is our FOILed piece. And now we still have subtract 6x, and the negative goes to both pieces in here, so it would be plus x squared all over h. Okay, and so the only thing we can do yet is what? Multiplying our negative into the bracket. Okay, so we'll distribute the negative 1 into the brackets, so then we have 6x plus 6h minus x squared minus 2hx minus h squared, and then we have subtract 6x plus x squared. And this is, remember, all over h. Okay, so there must be things we can put together or cross off, right, to make this a little less crazy looking. So the 6's can go, and we have a positive x squared and a negative x squared. So now all we have left is a 6h minus 2hx minus h squared all over h. And is there one last thing we can do? Yeah, take out the common factor of h. Okay, so h is common to all the pieces in the top. So if we factor him out, we would be left with an h on the outside, and it would be 6h divided by h is just 6, minus 2hx divided by h is minus 2x, and minus h squared divided by h is just a minus h. Okay, so then the h's can cross off, and the answer that we're left with is just 6 minus 2x minus h. Okay, whoops, sorry guys. So now, this is just showing if we were looking at a graph and trying to see. So it says shown below is the graph of y equals g of x. And it says find g of minus 3. So what they're saying is when x is minus 3, what is your y value? So if x is minus 3, we're right here, right? So our y value would be what? Yeah, 1. Okay? So you can say g of minus 3 is equal to 1. Okay? If we want to find g of x is equal to 3, so do you notice the difference between that? So I said g of minus 3 before, meaning my x was minus 3. But if I said g of x is 3, that's basically saying your y is 3. So then what are your x's? So if your y is 3, you come out here and across here, and these are what your y's are. So your y is, it says approximately 2.2 because it's just over 2, and then it's minus 4. Okay, so if we had g of x is equal to 3, our x's are equal to, we'll say, approximately 2.2 and 4, minus 4, sorry.